Nice, that'll be fun. Okay, so unfortunately I don't have a reference photo for you today. We're just going to be painting this from my brain into yours, and it's going to be a fun time. So I've got my paper here. This is actually a Strathmore postcard, so on the back is a little postcard printed, and I'll be doing a giveaway of this painting during the live, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So it's Strathmore watercolor paper. My paints are Winsor&Newton watercolor paints, and my brushes are Princeton Neptune brushes. I have all of my art supply suggestions in a tab in my bio. It's my Amazon storefront, so if you're looking for some art supplies for yourself or for a gift for the holiday season, that's a great place to check out. It helps me out too because I get a small cut of the sale. I need paper towel. I didn't need a paper towel. Oh, thanks, Dad. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is get a little bit of water into our... Thanks, Dad. Get a little water into our palette. So with your paintbrush or with a spray bottle, if you're fancy and you have one, you can take a little drop of water and put a drop of water in each color. I see my mom has already done that. You guys are... Oh, Adrian did it? You guys are overachievers. And this just helps to... What does it do?
This dissolves the top layer of paint, just makes them easier to mix.
Yeah, there you go. My mom and sister have joined quite a few of these, and they could probably do these word for word at this point.
Just not
the actual instruction.
Not the actual painting part. Fair enough. And we may not use all of these colors, but it's good to get them dissolved anyway. Oh, hello, Schmidt twins. Okay, so once you have all of the colors soaking, we're going to do a little pencil sketch, and we don't really need much. We just need to do a little bit to show us where we're going. So we need a horizon line. This is going to be the snowbank that we're painting, and this is just going to be a slightly wavy line about halfway up your paper. So just find a spot halfway up your paper and give yourself a little slightly wavy line. Make it look like a little snowy hill. Doesn't need to be too steep or anything like that. Okay, so that's our horizon line. Above this is going to be the sky, and then below this is going to be the snow. And then the other thing that we need to do is mark out where we kind of want our main trees to be. And these are just going to be long U shapes. So really shallow, kind of long U shapes like this. So do one or two of these. I like to do two just kind of on opposite sides. And there might be more little divots in the snow that we might paint, but those are going to be the main ones. You could do more than two if you want to. Okay. And that's really all the pencil sketch that we need to do. So once you're ready, we are going to get our colors ready for the first layer of this painting, which is going to be this sky. So if everybody's still with me, I think they are. Nobody's commenting anything in the comments, so I'm going to assume that is everybody focusing. So we need 3 colors. I'm going to tell you them all now so that you can just go ahead and do it, but I will also show you. So we need a sky blue color, we need a pink color, and we need a yellow color. And this is going to be a nice soft sunset or sunrise, whichever one you'd like, in the background. So choose a nice, like, bright sky blue, get some of that ready in your palette. I have phthalo blue in my palette, so that's what I'm going to use. And you do want to add some water to this. We want this to be a really soft sunrise. So throw a little bit of water in there so it's not too strong of a color.
You're going to do those?
Yeah.
Okay. This is so relaxing. Perfect. Your second color is going to be pink. If you have pink, that is great. If you just have red, that will be fine. Just add a little bit of water to it regardless. I've got this magenta color that I'll use. But if you just have red or like a alizarin crimson, maybe use that third one, Mom.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. And add some water to that one as well. And then the last one will be a nice bright yellow color. But again, add some water to it. So all of these colors are pretty watered down. Okay.
This like shrinks so much. Just like goes away. Why does she just do that?
What palette is that? It is a Winsor&Newton palette. Okay, so once you have your colors, if you still need time to mix, that is okay. I'm going to just explain what we're going to do, and then we're going to do it. Am I going too fast?
No, we're just going to mix.
Okay, so we're going to put a layer of water over the above the horizon line. So You don't want to put this water down anywhere below the horizon line that we just drew. It's just going to cover the top section of the paper. And then we're going to drop some of that blue in. We're going to start at the top of the paper and work that blue down. Drop in some pink, blend that into the blue, and then put some yellow just right above this horizon line. And that will give us the sunset effect. Yes, this is being recorded. It will be uploaded to my YouTube channel, which is linked in my bio, so you can always follow along with this later. Okay, so grab your brush, grab a little water from your cup, and just put a layer of water starting at this horizon line and then covering the top section of your paper. And actually, wait, before we drop in any colors, we need one more color, which is a dark green. And this one, you don't want to mix too much water into it. We want it to be a little bit more of a strong color. So abandon whatever you're doing on your paper. It doesn't matter. I just want you to mix this green first. So I mixed together green and a little bit of blue to make this dark green right here.
Should we just share? Let's share.
Yeah. So we want to have this ready.
Get some dark green and get the indigo.
I like the teamwork. My mom and my sister are sharing
We're sharing
a
green.
palette, which is fun. Okay. So, once you have that color, you can go back to what we were doing before. Cover the whole paper with a layer of water. Not the whole paper, sorry. Above the horizon line. With a layer of water. And if you did that before we mixed the green, just look back on it and see if there's spots that need more water. Okay. And then we'll go into the blue and start putting that down here at the top of the paper, probably going about halfway down this sky section. Rinse off your brush. All of this needs to be done, it's okay. All of this needs to be done at the same time, which is why I'm hurrying through this, but it will become clear. You just need to drop these colors in wherever. I like to put the pink on the sides here. And then I'm gonna put the yellow just right here above the horizon line. Okay. So you've kind of got these little sections of these colors. And then you can leave them there if you want, but I'm going to take a damp brush, a slightly damp brush, and just kind of blend those colors together a little bit. And because you have that water down on the paper already, these colors should blend together nicely, just using a clean brush. Okay. I know I'm going a little fast. You just have to do all of these at the same time. So I'm gonna wait. You're gonna get to the chance to catch up. But just put those colors down and sort of blend them together. And you do have to do one more step.
Did you say you dried it off?
I just dried it off a little bit. Yeah. Okay. You're doing great. The last step, while this sky is still wet, ideally, is to take a little bit of green and just put a few dots down here at the horizon line. And these will kind of spread up into that sky section and look like distant trees. So I'm just taking the green on my brush and dotting it at the horizon line and letting it spread up just a little bit. Okay, so make sure you do that if you can while that sky is still wet. If you're too far behind, ignore what I'm saying and just focus on the sky. So something like that. Okay, I have no more instructions for you for now. You can just work on that. Okay, so how's this going for everybody? Mom? Adrian? Adie, if you want to use a damp or use a dry brush and pick up some of those little puddles that you're getting there before you add more. In the comments, is anybody having a problem? It's fun. Is gouache paint good with watercolor? Yes, I really like using both in the same paintings. gouache paint is really great for details, and then watercolor has a really nice light effect, so you can use watercolor for the background and gouache for the details. That's a good, that's a fun thing to do. It looks cool already. Thank you. Hello from Cape Cod. Definitely not neat while walking. Well, I would be very impressed if it was neat while you were walking. This is the most enjoyable live I've happened upon. Thank you. That's very nice. I'm painting a mini one. Perfect. And while I have you here, while you're just working on this sky section, I just want to say that this painting that I'm working on right now will be given away. I do collect tips, just, voluntary for these lives. And if you happen to leave me a tip that is over $2, you are entered to win this painting. So if you want to do that, if you're enjoying the live and you'd like to leave me a tip, you can do it at any time during this live. And if you go to the link in my bio, there's a tab in there called Tip Jar, and that just makes it really easy to leave me a tip. So again, I'll be giving this painting away to one random person who leaves me a tip that is over $2, if you'd like to do that. Where did that green come from? I forgot that we needed to mix the green. I did say right after we had put the water down in the sky section that we needed to mix a green. I apologize, I was not fully organized on that. Okay, I want the napkin. Sure. You can have the nice wet paper towel if you want it. Any art-related questions while we're waiting? Feel free to, if you're just watching along, feel free if you have art-related questions. I'm just gonna give everybody a minute or two, everybody who's painting along with me, to catch up. I can see that my mom and my sister are still frantically painting and fixing their sky, so we're gonna give them a minute. Does it feel weird to have a live audience? No, I've painted with them a few times before. Sometimes I feel like I say things differently maybe, or I don't know, but I like painting with my sister and my mom. I know they don't judge me, more or less.
Never.
Let's see, how do you do the trees? So while the sky was still wet, I just dropped a little bit of green into the horizon line here, and the wet paper kind of pulled that green up, and it makes these sort of distant tree shapes. How often do you change the water? Never. What are you painting? This is going to be a pretty little like snowy landscape. What kind of paper? It is Strathmore watercolor paper. It's got it's a postcard. It's like a watercolor postcard, so it's got a little postcard print thing on the back. Do you take recommendations for pay? I'm going to assume that's paintings. And sometimes I do take commissions. I'm not going to be able to get to all these questions, so I apologize. How hard is it to get into painting? How many years have you done it? I've done it my whole life. It can be challenging to get into painting. I think the most challenging part is the mental part, where you feel like everything has to be perfect. And, as adults, oftentimes we feel like if we're not good at something right away, then we can't really do it. But it just takes practice. It takes being willing to fail and make bad paintings. How's it going, Mom?
I'm super good at making bad paintings.
I'm trying to make my yellow more golden. What should I add? Try adding a little bit of orange. What do I need to buy so I can start practicing? What kind of paper is that? So this is watercolor paper. You do need watercolor paper for watercolor painting. It does not matter which brand, really. I have some suggestions for you in the link in my Amazon storefront. But it just has to be watercolor paper because it's built to absorb all of the water that we're using with this paint. So you need watercolor paper, some watercolor paints, and a few brushes. That is really all you need. That's the issue I have with watercolor. It's a huge adjustment from acrylic. Yeah. It is certainly less control than acrylic paint. All right, how's it going?
Could you give me another paper towel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and move on to our next step here, which is going to be to add a few shadows to our snow. And I'm just going to lightly erase these little U shapes that we did, just because I drew them quite heavily, and I don't want them to show up through our snow. So for this, we need a blue-gray color that's going to be really watered down. So I'm going to mix a little bit of blue with just like a tiny, tiny bit of brown. and just add a little bit at a time until you get kind of a blue-gray color, like this. Yeah, like an ultramarine would work too. Use that one on the end there, yeah. So I'm mixing ultramarine blue with a little bit of brown. Just add a little bit of brown at a time until you get to a blue-gray. Yeah. And then we're gonna water that down quite a bit. We want this to be a really light color. I'm gonna add more blue back to that. There we go. So it's gonna be a color kind of like this. Okay, add lots of water. We want this to be a really, really light color. And then we're going to take this color, put it into these little U-shaped shadows. I'm gonna press down on my brush in the middle of the U shape so I get kind of this wider shape in the middle and then skinnier on the ends. And then you're going to clean off your brush, dry it off part of the way so it's still a little bit damp, and just blend out the top of that shape here. So this will make a little shadow in the snow. Something like that. Okay, I'll explain that again. So you're gonna take this really watered down blue-gray, put it into that U-shaped shadow. I like to press a little bit harder in the middle of the U-shape and then lighter on the ends. So you get this sort of, I don't know what shape that is.
Crescent.
A crescent, sure. And then you're gonna clean off your brush, dry it off part of the way so it's still just a little bit damp, and then use that damp brush to blend out the top of that shape here. Okay, so these are gonna make these little shadows in the snow. You can make little tiny ones of these. You can just make little small ones kind of next to each other like this, if you want. But just, it's the same process. You're just, wherever you wanna put a shadow, you're gonna put it down, blend out the top. You can also just make little textures with this. Blend them out. Just kind of fill up this snow area more or less with a little bit of this shadow. I'm just giving you suggestions. You don't have to follow all of these. Okay. And don't worry about the top of these too much, like just blend it out a bit, but we're gonna cover them with trees, so it's not gonna be too obvious. We just want a bit of a shadow there. These are the tree wells that the trees sit in. Because we don't want to paint snowy trees, we're gonna pretend that these trees have been in this snowy field for a long time, and the snow has fallen off the trees, but there's still snow on the ground. So that's how we're cheating this. Okay, other things that you can do, you can just put a little bit of this blue shadow in the corners and like along the bottom. Do the same thing where you kind of fill it in, clean off your brush and blend off the top. But this will kind of frame the painting a little bit, so it'll give a little bit of shadow to the bottom here. And it won't be too noticeable right now, but once we're done, you'll kind of see that effect. So I'm just putting a little bit of blue down here at the bottom and in the corners and blending it out like normal. Okay. We had our first block of the day. Okay. Sorry guys, it's all good. She's gone. It doesn't really bother me, but sometimes it's annoying. Okay, so we have these shadows here. I'm gonna give you a minute or two to work on these. How's it going, Edie?
Pretty good, I think.
Nice, very good. Okay, anybody have any other questions while I'm giving you a pause here? My grandma gave me the same paint. Nice. People are weird. The other thing I'm going to plug while we're sitting here is that I do have an Etsy shop, which is all of the paintings that I make and sell on the line. and is linked in my bio. I am having a Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. Everything is 15% off. So if you'd like to check out my Etsy shop, that always means a lot to me. I have lots of holiday gifts. I have just regular, bookmarks, paintings, ornaments, Christmas ornaments that are hand painted, all of that kind of stuff. So it would mean a lot to me for you to check out my Etsy shop. Again, that's linked in my bio. It'd be a great spot to get some holiday gifts for your friends or family. My shadow has turned greenish gray. That's okay. It'll still, once we put the trees in there, it'll look more regular. How did you make the shadow color? I'm far behind. It was blue mixed with a tiny, tiny bit of brown and then watered down. That's okay. Do you apply extra pressure on the paintbrush when you painted the grass? So those are trees back there. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but no, there's no extra pressure there. I actually just used really light pressure because the water was still wet. It spread up into the water section. All right, you guys ready to move on?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, we're gonna start painting some trees. So we need some green. We're gonna use the same color that we used for the trees in the background here, this dark green color. If you don't have it anymore, just mix green with a little bit of blue and water it down a bit. We don't want this to be a very saturated color. We're gonna add the background trees first. So get yourself a nice little dark green color, but add some water to it. And I'm switching to my detail brush as well, so that you know. So switch to a small brush if you have one. And back here in this horizon line where there's these sort of fuzzy trees, we're gonna add a few sharper detailed trees. And these are gonna be evergreen trees. That's just what we're gonna paint. So to do these, I will be explaining this many times throughout this live, so if you don't get it this time, I will explain it again. Use your small brush and you're going to make a straight line down. Make sure that your sky section is dry for this. We did the snow first for that reason, but if it's not quite dry, use a hairdryer. And then you're just gonna go down your tree and add these sort of little V shapes where the V kind of starts at the trunk, and you wanna mix these up. So they want to be, some are gonna be longer, some are shorter, and then as you get down towards the bottom of the tree, it should just kind of spread out. So these V shapes are your branches. And these are really distant trees, so you don't have to put much detail on there. They're gonna kind of blend into the background a little bit. Okay, so again, straight line for the trunk. And then I like to start with a small V at the top and then just start adding these branches, sort of working our way down the tree.
Yeah.
And I can show this closer up too in just a second here. Okay, I'm gonna take this off the tripod and show you a little bit closer up. So here we are at the painting. And I'm going to pick where I want my tree, do a vertical line like that. And then we're going to add a small V at the top. That's just how I like to start the tree. And then I'm just gonna start adding branches to each side. I kind of use these little dots and dashes kind of motion. And as we get to the bottom of the tree, the branches should just get a little bit wider. And again, don't worry too much about the details. It's just, these are background trees, so don't worry. Okay, I'm gonna do another one. Right here. And we do want these background trees to be pretty small. So about this size. We don't want them to be too big because that will not look like the perspective that we're looking for. So
Add some more brown with your bigger brush.
okay, so I'm just adding these branches, working my way down. There we go. This is a zero round. If you don't have one of these brushes, I have one linked in my storefront. It's detail brushes are great to have. You can never underestimate the power of a tiny brush. How's this going for you guys? Family.
It's going okay.
Great. Okay, so we're just working our way down. Add as many trees back here or as few as you want. If you'd just like to do a couple, you can just leave it at that. I'll do a few so that you can see me doing them. There we go. So that's what that's starting to look like from far away. You can see that they're kind of blending into those loose sort of fuzzy trees that we put in the beginning. I'm just going to do one more over here. These trees do look better when you work quickly because you can't make it perfect. And so even if you think it looks kind of scraggly and messy, that's actually what makes the best tree. How did your jiu-jitsu match go? I won all my matches, which was exciting. So it went really well. Thank you for asking. Okay. I'm gonna give you a minute. I see that my mom and my sister are still working on their tiny trees, so I'm gonna give you a minute. Feel free to ask any art-related questions that you might have. Thank you so much. And remember that if you would like to win this painting, all you need to do is leave me any sort of tip for today's live session. Anything over $2 will be eligible to win. Again, that'll be a random drawing. I just do a random number generator. If you click on the link in my bio, there's a tab called Tip Jar, and that'll make it really easy for you. You can also use my Venmo if you prefer. That is listed in my bio. How often have you accidentally drank paint water? I actually have never. I have gotten close. Like I've picked it up to drink it, but I have not actually put it in my mouth.
In my coffee.
Yes, more often I put my brush in my actual drink. That's what I do more often, which is unfortunate. Let's see. How do you like the Kuretake paints? Are those yours, Mom? Kuretake?
Yes.
Yeah, they could see the lid. How do you like them? Give a review.
I'm not that experienced, so I don't have much to compare it to, but I do like them.
Nice. Yeah. Perfect.
They're very smooth.
Yeah.
Mix well.
I'm going to show you guys really quick.
I was focusing.
Focusing.
I'm
There's
not
the
very good at,
trees.
I don't know how to place them to make them look random. And the spacing of the trees is
Yeah. Do you ever still get stressed when painting? Sometimes. If I'm doing a commission, I often... Can we leave multiple tips? Nope, just one entry per person, please. Do you sell paintings? Yep, I do sell paintings. My Etsy is linked in my bio, so you can check it out there. All of my paintings. I have bookmarks, paintings, stickers, prints, bookmarks, all of that stuff.
You said bookmarks twice.
I did.
Ornaments.
Nice. Ornaments, that's the other one. Okay. How's everyone doing?
One more tree.
One more tree.
I need several more, but that's okay.
You can do them later too. You don't have to do them now.
Nothing else is happening on the sky.
No. My mom got me liquid watercolor rather than solid paint like you have. Do you use less water? It depends. So you can actually let that liquid watercolor dry in these little pans or just on a palette, and then you can re-wet it later, and it will be just like these dry watercolor pans. So if you want to use it wet, yes, you will add a little bit less water, but if you want to, you can just let it dry and use it like normal paints. So that's what I do. When these pans run out here, I just fill them up with that liquid watercolor, and let it dry, and then it paints just like a normal dry watercolor. So give that a try. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start slowly on the next step here. You guys can finish up your tree that you're working on. My trees look so much better now. They were pretty discouraging. Perfect, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, all it takes is practice. Okay, so now we're gonna use a very similar color to this. So this dark green, I like to mix green, blue, and brown together. We're just gonna add less water to it. So this is going to be a much stronger color, and this is what we're gonna use for these close-up trees. So again, green, blue, and brown, that makes a great evergreen tree color. And I'm still mixing a little bit of water into it so that the paint flows, but it's just less water than we used before. Okay. And you're welcome to still use your tiny brush, but if you want to use a slightly bigger brush because we're painting bigger trees, you're welcome to. And we're just going to do the exact same thing and put some trees in these hollows that we made in the snow. So I'm just going to paint, again, a straight line. I'm starting way at the top of the painting now. And it's going to end in this little hollow right here. And I'm going to do the same thing where I'm just going to add these branches. Working my way down. If you can't quite get a dark enough color, you can always go over it later. I heard that. Okay, and then you just end the tree down here in this little hollow. Just try and line up the bottom of the tree with the bottom of the little shadow that you made, like that. Thank you so much for the tip. I appreciate it. Okay, so you can add as many of these trees as you want. I'm probably going to do like one here, maybe two in this little hollow right here. You can add as many foreground trees as you like. This is where you get to be creative and put these in wherever you want. So I'm going to put one right here. Another fun thing that you can do is like skip a small section of the trunk here with the branches, and it's a little space where there's just happens to be no branches on the tree. I kind of like that effect every once in a while. So that's always an option for you. Darker. Make it darker.
Black.
Are you using black?
Just gotta darken it up a little.
Are you having a problem? My trees look like those cell tower fake trees. That's okay. I promise this does just take practice, so you just have to work on it a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with the cell tower fake trees. Yours looks like that.
Perfect.
And we're just going to end this tree right here in the little hollow, just like that. What you did on the snow part is a white paint first. No, so this is actually just the white of the paper. In watercolor, if you need a highlight, this is kind of the trickiest part of watercolor in my opinion. If you need a highlight of some sort, it has to be the white of the paper if you want to just stick with pure watercolor and not do mixed media like with adding highlights with gouache. So for snow in particular, you want to just add these shadows here, which is what we did earlier in this painting to sort of show that the snow is white. That's how we did that. But that's kind of the trickiest part of watercolor, I think. then what is white watercolor used for? So white watercolor is actually gouache. Fun fact, you can't really make white watercolor without it being gouache because watercolor is transparent, and so white would just be water, if that makes sense. So you can use white watercolor in your paintings. I have before. It will make your paintings look a little bit more like gouache, and it will give it a little bit more of a like pastel effect.
Chalky.
Yeah, kind of a little bit chalky. So that is certainly an effect that you can go for. There's nothing wrong with using it, but honestly, I don't know why watercolor sets come with white watercolor paint because I don't use it. And like professional watercolor painters, if they're just going to use watercolor, will not use it either. So to be honest, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm gonna add one more tree right like here.
So we're doing a hard stop at the bottom of the shadow then?
Yeah, hard stop. So you're just matching up the bottom of the tree with the shadow that you drew. I love how your family is involved and want to share this with you. Aw, me too. It's always fun to paint with you guys. I don't know if you have fun doing it, but I do.
It's always fun.
It's always fun.
It's not always
How you say
good.
Mainly just use for tiny highlights if you don't have the stuff to save the whites of the paper. Yeah, exactly. Just use white for highlights. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. We have one more step, so just keep on with your trees. Paint as many trees as you'd like. If you want to go back and add some more like shadows to the snow, a little bit of texture, you can. I just like to add like little dots like this. This is just if you're done and you want, some extra stuff to do. I like to add little dots. It kind of looks like little animal tracks going across like that. So that's an option for you. You could add some little birds to the sky if you wanted to with a darker paint. You could keep adding trees. You could just fill up this whole thing with trees. Everyone's favorite thing. And just, again, my usual plugs, because you're a captive audience here. This painting will be given away to some random person who leaves me a tip today. So if you'd like to leave me a tip, you can just go to the link in my bio and click on the tab that says tip jar, and that will make it easy for you. My Venmo is also listed in my bio if you'd prefer to use that. Again, I always really appreciate tips. I do this, as just a fun thing to connect with you guys, but tips are always really appreciated. This is a full-time job for me. My Etsy shop is also linked in my bio, so if you're looking for some holiday gifts or just, a treat yourself kind of moment, my shop is 15% off everything right now until Cyber Monday, so make sure you check that out. Some really good original oil paintings in there that are on sale, original regular, gouache or watercolor paintings in there on sale, bookmarks, again, postcards, stickers, Christmas ornaments, all of that. My tip wasn't accepted last time. Oh yeah, I think I remember that. You could try Venmo if you'd prefer, if you want to be entered into the giveaway. And let's see, I've also got like my Amazon storefront in there if you want to shop for some art supplies and you want my recommendations. Those are all in there. My Patreon is in there if you want to join my Patreon and support me monthly. If you don't want to do any of those things, just a like and a follow, and checking me out on Instagram is also really helpful. All of that. My sister and I are camping and have made your classes central to our day. Aw, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. You should teach kids how to do art like that. I don't really want to. If I'm going to be entirely honest.
Brutally honest.
It's not really my bag, but I do enjoy teaching. I'm just not a kid person. You can never say I'm not honest. Do you recommend storing mixed paints from big glass jars in little plastic jars? You know, I think you should do whatever you want. I'm not exactly sure what paint you're talking about, but you can always, paint can be stored fairly easily, just like how you're talking about. What is the brand of your watercolor set? It is Winsor&Newton. They are professional watercolor paints. They are very, very nice. So if you want to splurge on something for yourself or for a gift for someone who really likes watercolor, they are awesome. They are just a little bit more expensive. So just keep that in mind. I'm a teacher. Gotcha. Well, people thought it was funny, so that's good. Join late. Will this be on IG or YouTube later? Yes, it'll be on YouTube. That is the other thing I was going to say. This will be on YouTube. I actually do have a YouTube video painting this scene already, but this live will be up there as well. My YouTube channel is linked in my bio as well, so you can just find it there. It's Hannah MP. All right, how's it going? You guys up nearly there? We have one more little detail, which is not super complicated. We're just gonna add a little bit more shadow to these trees. So we're going to darken, if possible. Yours is pretty dark already, but if your trees, kind of like mine, are, you can see through them a little bit more, like the green is not super opaque, then we can add a little bit more detail. Where we darken this color a little bit, I'm gonna do like a blue-green. So I'm just gonna add more blue to this, and it's gonna be more of a teal color. And I'm going to use that and just add a few branches in the middle of these trees that we've already painted. So I'm just going to kind of go over certain spots in these trees and just add like a little bit of this darker color, and it'll just give it a little bit more dimension and shadow. So this is optional. If you feel like your tree's already dark enough and this paint won't really show up anyway, you can just ignore this. But if your trees aren't quite as dark as you want them to be, this is a good little addition. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So again, just adding some of this darker green blue just to the center. I can show you this a little bit closer up as well. Do you make and sell paintings? I do. Everybody who's here already knows, I just said it. Everything's in my Etsy shop. So if you click the link in my bio, you can check out my Etsy store. I also do commissions. I have room for like maybe 1 or 2 more holiday commissions. So if you're looking for something and you'd like to talk about that with me, you can DM me on Instagram. Same handle as TikTok. And we can discuss. I do custom bookmarks, custom landscape paintings, all of that stuff. It's just, I don't do pets or portraits of people. So landscapes only. Landscapes, flowers, plants, stuff like that are stuff that I can do.
Some architectural stuff.
Some architectural stuff as well, yeah. Paint, sip what? Whatever you want. That's your business, not mine. Gotcha. Okay. I don't have PayPal. No worries about that then. I appreciate your support regardless. Where's the tip jar, please? All you have to do is click on the link. If you go to my TikTok bio, my TikTok page, and you click on the link that's in my bio, the top tab in there, once you click on the link, will be labeled tip jar. And that's how you do that. It just makes it easier to collect the tips. And yes, I do ship to all 50 states. I ship internationally as well. I thought you meant sip on a drink. Yeah, exactly. You can sip on whatever drink you want. All right, I'll buy another bookmark then some other time. Yeah, feel free. Yes, this is watercolor. All right, so I believe that is all the instructions that I have for you today. Feel free to keep working on these. You don't have to be done right now just because the live is over. You can keep adding to these trees. You can keep adding some background trees back here. You could add anything that you wanted in the snow. You could put a little snowman in there if you wanted to. All different kinds of options in there. I am going to take off the tape, which is the best part. So if you stuck around for this, congratulations. If you find that your tape is ripping your paper, you can always use a hair dryer to heat it up. That will help you out a little bit. It kind of releases the glue from the paper. And again, one more reminder, this painting is part of the giveaway for today, so I will be giving this away to someone who left me a tip today. It'll be a random person. So feel free to leave me a tip through Venmo or the tip jar function in my bio. This piece of paper is fun because it's a little postcard on the back, so if you wanted to write a little note to someone and mail it, you could, or you could just frame it and nobody would see the back anyway, so you don't have to use it like that if you don't want to. I will sign it as well once I get my pen. And yeah, so if you'd like to have a chance to win this, you just have to leave me a tip. Anything over $2 is eligible. That just covers the materials and shipping. And I really appreciate everybody being here. We're going to do a little show and tell of Mom and Adrian's paintings real quick. Even if they're not done, that's okay. There is Mom's. Very good. I like that sunrise.
Yeah,
that looks really pretty.
That's nice. Let me know
Adrian?
if I should add more trees.
Should we add more trees?
Let me know in the comments.
Okay.
You need one on the edge.
I like the
a darker one on one of the
I like the
edges.
little tracks there, Edie.
Thank you.
That looks nice.
On which edge?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very good.
Alright, let me know, everyone.
Yeah. And here's mine.